Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're cracking open a stack of source material that gets right to the heart of optimizing Amazon PPC campaigns. We're looking at something crucial: how to avoid damaging that precious momentum.
Right. And momentum in Amazon PPC, it's kind of like a positive flywheel, isn't it? When your ads are consistently doing well, Amazon's algorithm, the A9 algorithm, it notices.
And it rewards you, right? Better visibility, maybe lower ad costs. And it can even give a pretty big boost to your organic search rankings. It seems incredibly powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And what's really fascinating here is just how much the algorithm values that consistency. It's constantly tracking things like, sales velocity, relevance, how well your ads and organic listings sync up.
And this source material, it highlights that consistent sales through ads are seen as a key relevance signal.
Exactly. Every ad click that leads to a sale, it's not just a sale for you. It helps your organic rank for those keywords. It boosts things like session vitality,
Yeah.
basically how engaged shoppers are after clicking, and feeds directly into your overall sales velocity. Big factor for bestseller rank.
So campaigns that build this momentum, they see real benefits. Lower cost per click, maybe?
Yeah, potentially 18 to 35% lower CPCs, according to this research. That comes from improved quality scores and better conversion rates, too, from getting better ad placements. Plus, that consistent performance. It helps maintain a predictable sales pace. Huge for inventory cash flow.
Okay, so how does the algorithm actually measure this? Does the source get specific?
It does. It looks at things like 14-day rolling averages of key metrics, CTR, CVR, sales velocity. It puts more weight on recent performance. Generally, you need a certain number of daily conversions, maybe 5 to 10, for the algorithm to really start seeing that momentum build.
5 to 10 a day. Okay.
And conversions within 72 hours of an ad click. They get extra weight, highly valuable signals. There was one study mentioned here looking at 2 million listings. It found products keeping daily ad spend at or above 80% of their max budget for 21 days straight.
Yeah. What happened?
Their organic impression share jumped by 37% compared to inconsistent advertisers. And products with about a 3-to-1 organic to paid sales ratio, 41% faster inventory turnover.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. And the top campaigns, 90th percentile for consistency. They could get automatic bid reductions of 12 to 18%. Priority for prime ad spots. Consistency also activates these organic boosters, like weighting ad-driven conversions 1.8 times higher in session vitality scores.
1.8 tons.
Yeah. And hitting query ownership threshold after 45 days of steady CTR for specific terms. Products showing consistent ad performance for 60 days or more can even get special flags. Helps with inventory priority, like a 72-hour hold on some buy box eligibility.
So it's all about Amazon rewarding reliable sellers,
Yeah.
building trust over time.
Exactly, and it takes time. The initial data collection phase, usually about 1 to 14 days for the algorithm to learn. You need to see decent CTR, maybe 0.5% by days 4-7, good CVR, maybe 12% plus by days 8-14, just to get momentum scoring started.
Okay, so that's the initial phase.
Then weeks 3 to 6 are about building algorithmic trust. Strong weekly sales growth here really helps keep momentum going. The real activation, where you see major rewards like expanded match type reach, organic ranking buffers, that often kicks in around weeks 7 to 12.
Week 7 to 12, so a couple of months in.
Right. And by 4 to 6 months, mature campaigns can see a huge chunk, maybe 45 to 60% of their sales coming organically thanks to that PPC boost.
So what are the key thresholds to maintain this? Does the research give numbers?
It does. Things like 35 or more sales in 14 days, a consistent CTR of 0.8% or higher for 21 days, and keeping your ACOS variance, your average cost of sale fluctuation, within 15% over 45 days.
And missing those benchmarks.
The research warns you might basically have to start rebuilding momentum from scratch.
Okay, so it takes time and effort to build this momentum. The last thing you want is to accidentally break it. And at the flip side, what we're really digging into today based on this research, how easily that hard-won momentum can be damaged.
Exactly. There are some surprisingly common mistakes sellers make that can really hurt campaign performance.
Which leads to the big question. If momentum is so valuable, what are the main things that cause this damage?
Well, this source material lays out several key areas where sellers often stumble. And it highlights that ignoring these common causes, it means potentially losing all that momentum and facing a long, costly recovery.
Right. So in this deep dive, we're going to walk through those specific common causes of momentum damage, straight from the research. We'll explain what they are, why they're so damaging according to the data, how they signal negative things to the algorithm, and look at the specific impacts, including the numbers they point to. We'll cover everything the source shares on this.
Think of this as understanding the don'ts of Amazon PPC to protect the momentum you're building. We'll go through each major cause listed, one by one. And the research also gives us some specific diagnostic thresholds, too. Numbers to watch in your own campaigns.
Oh, like warning signs?
Exactly. Things like your CTR and CVR metrics decoupling diverging by more than 30% for 5 days, or a big spike in your ACS over 20% without sales growth to match. An inventory alert that happens when your inventory stress coefficient, basically daily sales divided by inventory days remaining, goes above 1.5 for 48 hours.
ISC above 1.5.
Got it. Or a session vitality drop where you see a weekly decline of more than 15% in post-click engagement. The source is pretty clear. Campaigns hitting just 2 of these thresholds need immediate action to stop the algorithm from deprioritizing you.
Okay, let's unpack this section of the research then. The things that often hurt PPC momentum. The critical mistakes sellers make that can yank the rug out from under you.
That's right. It's easy to focus on what to do right, keywords, bids, but avoiding what can go wrong is just as important for preserving momentum. Let's go through the specific causes detailed here.
All right. The first big mistake highlighted is suddenly hitting the pause button on your campaigns. Seems simple, maybe you just need to stop spending for a bit. But the source says this has serious cascading consequences for momentum.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. The source explains that abruptly halting campaigns, it sends a strong negative signal to the A9 algorithm. It triggers immediate algorithmic recalibration. Essentially tells Amazon's system your product or campaign might be losing relevance or having issues. It interprets sudden pauses as a clear relevance decay signal. And the algorithm, well, it doesn't forget easily.
So what kind of impact are we talking about?
It's significant, hits several areas hard. First, there's algorithmic trust erosion. The source states campaigns can lose a huge chunk, 45 to 60%, of their accumulated CTR and CVR history.
45 to 60%, just gone.
Yep. Those rolling 30-day engagement metrics get deprioritized. That can reduce your ad placement priority by 22 to 35%. And remember, those automatic bid discounts for consistent performers, the 9 to 14% ones.
Yeah.
Revoked within 72 hours. And if you pause for more than 48 hours, this research suggests it can take 12 to 18 days just to regain your previous quality scores.
12 to 18 days. That's like starting over in the algorithm's eye.
Pretty much. Second, you risk organic ranking collapse. PPC-driven sales are a major engine for organic rank. Pausing just breaks that connection. A study cited from 2025 found products pausing campaigns for just 7 days saw an average 18% organic rank decline.
18% drop in a week.
And their inventory turnover cycles were 33% longer. Plus, they needed 2.1 times higher costs per acquisition post-reactivation just to get sales going again. Specific organic metrics take a beating too. Search term ownership, down 37%, takes weeks to recover. Buy box win rate, down 29%. Category authority, down 41%.
Ouch. Okay, what else?
Third, sales velocity disruption. That flywheel just stops. Typical impacts. An immediate 25 to 40% drop in total sales, paid and organic combined, usually within 72 hours.
25 to 40%, that's huge.
And you can see around 19% of your existing customers defecting to competitors within that same 72-hour window.
What?
Trying to get those lost buyers back can cost 2.3 times higher in remarketing costs.
2.3 times higher. Wow.
Fourth, you face competitive vulnerability. Pausing creates a vacuum. Competitors jump in. They can capture 22 to 35% of your abandoned impression share within 72 hours. Algorithmic repricers might target your listings, and your review accumulation slows down by as much as 41%.
Okay, and finally, reactivation must be hard.
Exactly, reactivation challenges. Restarting after a pause is tough. You might see 58% lower click-through rates in the first 1 to 3 days, and 33% higher costs per click in days 4 to 7 as the algorithm tries to figure things out.
Wow, those numbers really paint a picture. It's not just a temporary pause. It's like starting over and fighting uphill. It sounds like sudden pauses actively reset that algorithmic trust.
Exactly. The source notes that campaigns using a more phased approach, like reducing budgets 20% daily over 5 days, preserved 73% more organic visibility compared to abrupt pauses. The hidden costs of abrupt pauses often far exceed any short-term savings. That 2025 analysis, 68% of reactivated campaigns never regained previous profitability thresholds. Really shows the price of disrupting consistency.
Okay, let's move to the next common issue, running out of daily budget. You might think, okay, budget zero, ad stop, no big deal. But the source says this also chips away at momentum.
Yeah, this is often called lost impression share due to budget. And the source explains it undermines both your paid and organic presence. When your budget runs out, your ads stop showing immediately for the rest of the day. And that means you miss out on impressions, particularly during peak shopping hours, often later in the day.
So how does that cause damage?
Well, first, there's the immediate loss of visibility. You're just not there when buyers are searching at crucial times. This inconsistent presence signals to the algorithm your campaign might not be consistently competitive or reliable. Over time, that hurts your eligibility for premium placements.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, negative effects on metrics. Your data gets skewed. Ads aren't running during potentially high-intent periods, so CTR and CVR might look artificially low or inconsistent. That inconsistency is bad. It disrupts the algorithm's learning process, often leading to higher CPCs and less efficient spend later.
Right. The algorithm needs clean data.
Precisely. Third, you risk algorithmic penalties. Amazon's system favors campaigns with steady, reliable presence all day. Running out signals limited reliability. That positive momentum loop can be lost, making it much harder to regain ground later, even if you increase the budget.
Okay, what are the other impacts?
Fourth, missed opportunities. If your ads vanish before evening shopping hours, you miss buyers making decisions then. Weakens your sales velocity, a key ranking factor. Fifth, competitive vulnerability. Competitors notice. They can time their campaigns or boost bids to grab the space you left open. The source even mentions suspicions about bots draining budgets early to clear the field for rivals later.
Wow, really? Bots?
Just suspicions mentioned in the source, but it highlights the vulnerability. Finally, there's difficulty regaining lost momentum. Recovery takes time, resources. The algorithm needs days, maybe weeks of consistent full-day activity to restore trust. You might need higher bids or budgets temporarily, hurting profitability during recovery.
So it's not just about missing sales today. It's the damaging long-term signal about reliability and competitiveness.
Precisely. The source highlights tracking search lost impression share budget. A high percentage there is a big warning sign. And while you could just increase the budget, the source emphasizes that's not always sustainable if the underlying issues are high CPCs or poor targeting. The key takeaway is ensuring your budget is realistic enough to maintain presence all day long.
Okay, let's talk about bids. We've all been tempted to make big bid changes to quickly boost performance or slash costs. But this source says drastic or frequent bid changes. Another momentum killer.
Yes, the research points out altering bids or budgets too frequently or too drastically is highly disruptive. Amazon's system needs time to learn performance patterns at a given bid level. This research suggests 48 to 72 hours just to process the data from one change.
48 to 72 hours.
Okay, so making decisions and then another big change based on incomplete data from the first change often leads to overcorrecting bids. This causes really erratic CTR and CVR patterns, sometimes high, sometimes low. It confuses the algorithm.
Confuses the algorithm. Not good.
It's not good at all. The data shows campaigns with more than 3 bid changes per week experience 22% longer algorithmic recalibration periods. Directly erodes momentum. The source specifically notes sudden bid shifts greater than 10% daily can reset quality scores and hurt organic rankings.
Reset quality scores. Just from a 10% bid change.
Can happen, yeah. And the unfortunate cycle is recovering after this often requires much higher bids, sometimes 2.3 times higher, just to regain prior positions. And this costly recovery is often triggered by those initial drastic changes. The source contrasts this. Campaigns using incremental adjustments, like 5 to 10% changes every 7 to 14 days, they maintain 92% of original momentum versus only 41% for abrupt, frequent changers.
So patience and a steady hand are definitely needed here too.
Yeah.
Incremental changes give the algorithm time to adapt based on real data.
Exactly. Gradual data-driven adjustments are key to preserving quality scores and avoiding that unnecessary turbulence that just breaks momentum.
Let's move to keyword strategy. Seems like the core of PPC. But the source calls out a lack of consistency as damaging. Why is sticking with keywords so crucial?
The core reason: the algorithm needs time. Time to gather enough data and stabilize keyword performance data. This research suggests 14 to 21 days for the algorithm to really understand how a specific keyword performs for your product.
14 to 21 days per keyword.
Roughly, yeah. So constant changes, adding, removing, shifting keywords between campaigns prevents that crucial learning process from ever completing.
Okay, so how does that inconsistency hurt momentum?
Several ways. First, it disrupts algorithmic learning. The system just can't identify winning CTR/CVR patterns if the keyword keeps changing. Second, it hinders quality score accumulation. Remember those CPC discounts. Keywords often need a CTR of 0.9% or higher for 30-plus days to earn those 18 to 35% discounts. Inconsistency prevents this.
Right, no history, no discount.
Exactly. Third, it breaks session vitality. Stable keywords bring shoppers consistently, letting the algorithm track post-click engagement. Inconsistency disrupts this flow, hurting scores that boost organic rank. Fourth, it wastes budget and hurts negative keywords. If keywords are always changing, building good negative lists is hard. Leads to budget waste, maybe 18 to 30% on irrelevant clicks. The SourceNate's campaigns altering more than 20% of keywords weekly see 27% higher CPCs and 41% longer recalibration.
20% weekly is the threshold there.
Seems to be a key threshold in the research, yeah. Fifth, it causes internal competition. Common scenario, moving keywords from auto to manual campaigns, but not negating them in auto. Creates self-cannibalization. Splits click volume, reduces keyword CTR by 15 to 22%, delays momentum.
So you're competing against yourself.
Basically, yes. Sixth, it damages the organic paid link. You miss out on things like query ownership thresholds, needing 45 days of stable CTR/CVR for organic boosts. Disrupts sales velocity buffers, too, which help prevent big daily sales swings hurting your buy box. Products with 90-day keyword stability achieve 2.1 times faster organic recovery post-stockout, 37% higher session vitality.
That's a big difference.
Huge. Finally, it weakens campaign structure. Consistency provides the historical data needed for smart bids, match types, optimization. Without stable data, decisions are less informed.
It really seems like keyword consistency is the bedrock the algorithm builds its understanding on.
Yeah.
Shifting it constantly removes that foundation.
Precisely. The research highlights that altering more than 20% of keywords weekly suffers significant penalties. Maintaining consistency lets the algorithm amplify performance synergistically. Paid and organic reinforcing each other. Campaigns with 90-day keyword stability achieve 2.3 times longer momentum duration compared to frequent tweakers. It's about letting the algorithm learn and leverage that learning.
Okay, next up, campaign structure. Restructuring can seem smart, maybe for better organization. But doing it too fast is listed as another way to damage momentum.
Yes, rapid or frequent structural changes are highly disruptive. Again, the algorithm needs time. Generally, 14 to 21 days to establish baseline performance data for new structures or significant reorganizations. Changing too fast forces recalibration from scratch, costing you momentum.
So what kind of damage does that cause?
First, high algorithmic recalibration costs. Quality scores often reset, historical context broken. Session vitality needs rebuilding. Bid efficiency multipliers recalculated. Research shows campaigns undergoing more than 3 structural changes per month see 22 to 35% higher CPCs during recalibration.
3 changes a month is the trigger there.
Seems to be, yes. They also see 18 to 27% lower impression share for 14 to 21 days. And it can take 41% longer to regain previous conversion rates.
Okay, higher cost, lower visibility. What else?
Second, momentum fragmentation. You fracture those accumulated performance signals. Specific metrics suffer. Search term ownership down 37%, weeks to recover. Buy box win rate down 29%, 14-21 days recovery. Organic rank stability down 41%, 30-45 days recovery. Case studies stated show campaigns restructured weekly lost 73% of their algorithmic trust credits compared to monthly optimizers.
73%, huge loss of trust.
Massive. Third, it often leads to internal competition. If you don't carefully phase changes, you get overlap. Self-cannibalization again. Keyword overlap splits CTR 15 to 22%. Bid conflicts inflate CPCs 19 to 33%. Spreading budget too thin hurts top performers. A 2025 analysis found rapid restructures wasted 28 to 45% of ad spend on internal competition versus just 12 to 18% for gradual optimizers.
That's a lot of wasted spend.
It is. Fourth, data signal corruption. Frequent changes hide true performance. You might pause high potential keywords too early, 14 days data. Temporary spikes mislead decisions. Sales attribution gets messed up. Campaigns restructured weekly, according to the source, misidentified 38% of their profitable keywords compared to monthly.
It sounds like the algorithm gets incredibly confused, and you end up paying more for worse results, losing all that trust.
That's the risk. The source notes rush restructures sacrifice long-term gains. The algorithm rewards stability. Campaigns optimizing structure no more than monthly achieve 2.3 times higher lifetime value than weekly tweakers. And the recovery timeline. Stabilization takes 7-14 days, diagnostics 3-5 days, full momentum rebuild 21-28 days.
So patience and planning are key for structure changes too.
Absolutely. The source suggests a staged transition. Maybe launch the new structure with only 20% budget in week 1, compare metrics in weeks 2-3, fully sunset the old one in week 4, only if the new shows a clear gain, like 15% plus efficiency. They say this phased approach can cut recalibration costs by 38%.
Okay, finally, one that seems obvious but has profound consequences. Products going out of stock. The source detailed how much this hurts PPC momentum.
This is absolutely critical, maybe one of the most damaging. When products go out of stock, the algorithm sees it as a significant relevance decay signal. If you don't have inventory, you can't be relevant now. Causes cascading negative effects, algorithmic penalties, wasted ad spend, long-term competitive vulnerabilities.
Okay, break down the impact for us.
First, major algorithmic trust erosion. Ranking systems heavily penalize stockouts. Quality scores can reset significantly, 45 to 60% lost. Takes 12 to 18 days just to start rebuilding trust.
Same range as pausing, 45-60% loss.
Yeah, it's a big hit. Session vitality penalized, reducing ad placement priority 22 to 35%. Algorithm deprioritizes unavailable products. Important note, sponsored products usually pause when you lose the buy box, but sponsored brands and sponsored display ads, they can keep running.
Spending money on products people can't buy.
Exactly. Wasting money, driving shoppers away. A 2025 study showed Stockouts 48 hours caused organic rank drops of 3 to 5 positions, 41% slower organic recovery post-restock, and remember that inventory stress coefficient, ISC, daily sales inventory days remaining, ISC 1.5 for 48 hours. Clear alert for potential momentum loss, selling too fast for remaining stock.
Got it. ISC over 1.5. What's next?
Second, sales velocity collapse. The flywheel breaks down completely. Typically see a 25 to 40% immediate sales drop paid and organic within 72 hours. Signals relevance decay. Alarmingly, 19% of shoppers defect to competitors within just 72 hours when you're out of stock. Erodes market share.
19% lost to competitors quickly.
Very quickly. Products lose 18 to 35% organic impression share. Might need bids 2.1 times higher than before just to regain visibility. Velocity decay accelerates even more if the stockout hits during peak demand.
Makes sense. And the wasted ad spend.
Third, serious ad spend inefficiencies. As mentioned, sponsored brands, DSPs, sponsored display might keep spending on traffic that can't convert, sends shoppers straight to competitors. Especially bad for DSP traffic. 90% uses view through attribution. Harder to see they went elsewhere because you were out of stock. The algorithm can also mislearn during the stockout, misallocating 28 to 45% of post-restock budgets. Sellers report around 35% of ad spend wasted on irrelevant clicks during stockouts. Sponsored brands suffer disproportionately.
Okay, so wasted spend, lost sales. What else?
Fourth, competitive exploitation. Rivals are watching. They can capture 22 to 35% of your abandoned impression share within 72 hours. Might target your listings or keywords specifically, and with less traffic, review accumulation slows by as much as 41%. Puts you at a disadvantage.
And recovery must be tough.
Fifth, recovery challenges are substantial. You're fighting uphill against algorithmic distrust, lost market share, initial bids upon reactivation. Often 25 to 30% higher than before just to get seen again. Organic recovery needs active support branded campaigns, coupons maybe, and you need robust inventory coverage after restocking. Source suggests 115 to 130% coverage relative to typical sales velocity just to feel secure.
115 to 130%.
Yeah.
More than normal.
Yeah, to prevent it happening again. Research indicates phased reactivation like 20% daily budget increases over 5 days, recovered momentum 41% faster than just flipping the switch back on.
So a stockout isn't just lost sales today. It's major, costly damage control and a long fight to regain ground later.
Absolutely. The source emphasizes hidden costs of stockouts often exceed short-term inventory savings. Proactive inventory management, maybe staged ad adjustments before a stockout slight price changes, gradual budget reductions is crucial for sustaining that paid organic synergy. Research highlights sellers maintaining inventory to sales ratios consistently between 85 and 115% sustain momentum 73% longer than those with erratic stock levels.
85 to 115% range.
Oh,
Okay. And just to quickly recap those diagnostic thresholds, the early warning signs.
Right, watch for CTR, CVR decoupling 30% for 5 days, ACOSA spike 20% without sales growth, inventory alert, ISC 1.5 for 48 hours, or session vitality drop 15% weekly. Source stresses. Campaigns hitting just 2 of these needed immediate intervention to prevent algorithmic deprioritization and rapid momentum loss.
Wow. That was a really comprehensive look at the common ways momentum can be damaged, pulling directly from the research. It's incredibly clear that consistency, patience, careful management of bids, budgets, keywords, structure, and especially inventory. It's all absolutely essential.
It really is. And what's fascinating is how interconnected it all is, isn't it? A simple budget issue or a sudden pause, it doesn't just affect your paid ads in isolation. It sends these negative signals rippling through the algorithm, impacts organic visibility, sales velocity, competitive position, your whole standing. The algorithm fundamentally rewards stability and reliability. It wants to show shoppers products they can trust.
It really is like building a relationship with the algorithm. You need to be consistent, trustworthy, abrupt changes, disappearing without warning. And it breaks that trust. And rebuilding, as we saw, takes time, effort, often higher costs.
Exactly. The data clearly shows the penalties for sudden shifts and the benefits of gradual, data-driven optimization, consistent presence. Ignoring these common causes means potentially losing all that hard-won momentum and facing that long, uphill, costly recovery.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Understanding these pitfalls, why they damage momentum, the impacts, that's the crucial first step to avoiding them. It highlights looking at your campaigns, your inventory, holistically.
Yeah.
Respecting how the algorithm learns and responds.
Which raises an important question for you to consider, right? Given these heavy penalties for momentum loss from things like stockouts or pauses, how can you proactively build systems and processes outside just daily ad tasks to ensure your campaigns stay stable and trustworthy to the algorithm? Think about inventory planning cycles, budget forecasting based on velocity, even cross-team communication marketing, operations, inventory teams working together.
A lot to think about there. This deep dive really reinforced just how delicate and how valuable Amazon PPC momentum truly is. We've covered all the key causes of momentum damage mentioned in the source material, with all the specific details and numbers provided. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the causes of Amazon PPC momentum damage. We hope this helps you protect your campaigns and keep that flywheel spinning.